Hello, my name is Nuno da Silva. I'm talking to you from Dili, East Timor, and I'm here with Ben Roberts, who is in Newtown, Connecticut, and Eva Schoenfeld, who is in Edinburgh in Scotland. And the three of us are hosting a coming online summit about conflict transformation called Coming Down to Earth, an online summit to explore pathways towards regenerative cultures in a divided world. We are hosting this in the name of the Transition Hubs Network, which is part of the Transition Towns movement, the Emergence Network, and the Inner Resilience Network, in the process to change the name to Regenerative Cultures. And we have partners such as the Global Tapestry of Alternatives, Moving Beyond Interactability, Now What, Sociocracy for All, and Ecoversities. And with this wonderful group of organizations, we've been curating this summit, who has an amazing set of invited guests with whom we are having generative conversations that invite us to reflect on three different dimensions or perspectives around conflict. On the week number one, we'll be exploring in which ways our habitual ways of responding to tensions and conflicts lead to outcomes that nobody wants. So we'll be really looking at what is it at currently in our communities, in our contexts, and on the wider global level, what are the dynamics at play that keep us stuck in destructive responses that don't explore the full potential of people coming together and collaborating to change their current realities. Second week will be nurturing the soil. So we'll be looking at what narratives, what perspectives, what ways of seeing and being could set the ground for a more healthy and regenerative approach to conflicting situations. And week three will illuminate some of the practices that are in place, that are being taught and explored by many people around the world, that can help us strengthen the muscle to be able to deal better in a more regenerative way with difficult situations. And this is particularly relevant in the current times we are experiencing, where multiple disruptions and difficult situations are coming into place almost every day. So yeah, Ben, Eva, would you like to share some of the some aspects of the summit with our friends listening to us?
Well, yeah, I think it's a really exciting opportunity for people who are in transition groups, and really for anybody, because there's nobody for whom conflict doesn't rear its head at one time or another. And traditionally we've been very bad, and certainly socially recently we've been very bad at handling our conflicts. And the kind of point of the transformative approach is that it's very often within those conflicts that the real gems are hidden. The opportunity to learn and grow and change and to come into a different kind of connection with one another that's richer and more nourishing. And all of that is to do with being, well, both brave enough to actually kind of face up to our own role, as well as whatever the dynamic with is, that's kind of generating the conflict, and also the skill. And that's one of the things that the summit will bring in spades, is just so many people who've immersed themselves in working out why it is we get into conflict and what we can do about it, from so many different perspectives. And I'm really excited to be part of it and feel that it's going to end up being a hugely useful resource particularly for transition groups, but really for any human who's had a conflict or who might have in the future. Ben.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, particularly in this time, we're recording this on March 16th as the world moves towards global lockdown in the face of the coronavirus, and and we're seeing our old systems, not doing particularly well, whether it's governments or healthcare or the economy in particular. I think is really on the verge of breaking. And of course, conflict is inevitable. The other thing is that those systems are built on this story of our independence, of our being autonomous units in a mechanical universe, and everybody's sort of fighting for themselves, and competition is the way that, the only way to make decisions in markets and impersonal stuff, right? And I've been so inspired by the vision of a different story of who we are fundamentally, that's both ancient and new. Many of the people who are being interviewed have been some of the leading apostles of this new story of how we're fundamentally cooperative, right? And collaborative and deeply interdependent with one another and with everything on this planet, including the viruses. We are the virus. We're all part of Gaia, a superorganism, right? And so conflict is part of that too. There's a place for conflict in that new story, but what it means and how we respond is so different from the fights, the battles, the us versus them thinking. That is how we've been. I certainly in the United States have been trained, as a high school debater. That was my passion, was, to humiliate people with my intellect. you know, um, so other ways, how do we respond from a place of being fully human, and being recognizing that whatever I do to you, I do to myself and everyone else in some way. I'm really inspired by that. The other thing that I'm inspired by is that this new form of virtual summits is still evolving, and my work for 10 years has been on how we translate what we know how to do in large groups in person into virtual space in ways that really have them come alive. So it's not just some sort of pale imitation of what we wish we could have done if we were all together, but actually surfaces whole new kinds of possibilities for being generative and human and creative and connecting at the heart level, and finding beauty and joy and grief and all of that. And I think all that's possible in the virtual realms. So I'm really excited to have this summit be a place where we stretch ourselves into some new ways of doing these things. We have an incredible array of interviews, but I'm looking forward to what the participatory elements of this will be too. And that's been my focus in my work for 10 years, in service to this new story. And so I'm really honored and excited to have a chance to offer those gifts and experiment in this context.
Yeah, thank you so much. So if you would like to meet us in that place beyond right or wrong, come and join us and explore this most relevant topic and find your way. And we invite you to do that with your friends, colleagues, your community, your neighborhood, people around you, so that we can together make sense and find new possibilities.